the overload of cases that we are seeing right now in our judicial sector. Third, and I think this may be one of the most important points, that being revitalizing the executive agencies. Every executive agency besides MCPD, through the great work of Daniel Reagan, which I have already outlined, has seen some recent drops in activity. And what is happening out there? And I can, of course, attribute that to the game being inactive for how are people dying inside Rip United? I can, of course, attribute that to the game being down for 5 months, but it's time to get back to work. And the previous administration, which has served 2 terms, has done nothing to revitalize the high command of all of the executive departments. I think that Brandon has done a great job with RNG, and he will continue to do so. Is Vince in VC? I'm in the stage. Should I also be talking in game? I think it will be a great idea to, with a competent executive team, a competent advisory team as well, to go through in-depth department and really analyze if high command are still up to terms of what they need to be in activity, so that we can continue forward and have continued prosperous activities with the new release of Milton. Finally, it's more of a minor point, and my platform is much more expansive than this. You'll be able to see it when voting starts in my campaign Discord, but we are planning to fix administrative laws. Currently, there's a big issue with background checks. Background checks help prevent dealers, abusers, and ineffective workers from entering our beloved agencies. The police are infused with the power of the state, and we want to make sure that they are using that power properly. It's all too common that department officials hide behind administrative laws to unjustly deny employment to qualified candidates based on personal reasons. But there is also the factor that department investigative services are limited on who they can deny. I've had many individuals come to me and explain how they can't deny people unless they have a dishonorable discharge, which I'm sure it's not that simple, but our goal is to fix administrative laws, to reiterate, revitalize executive agencies, nominate consistently competent judges, and reform and stabilize our state Senate, as well as continue aiding and maintaining activity throughout Ridgeway with the new release of Milton. I will move it over to my Lieutenant Governor candidate, Mr. Walter, here, to outline his confidence in taking over my position as president of the Senate and how we can change the mistakes made by the previous administration.
Of course. As Vince said, the first point on the platform relates specifically to the Senate. The Senate is where our laws are made. You all know that. But when they don't work effectively, our laws continue to suck. There is no necessity for the Senate to be this archaic institution where people go to end their careers, right? What we need in the Senate are legislatures who want to help. They want to see the state progress. It's not about fixing loopholes. It's not about just legislating new content introduced by the developers. It's about pushing our state forward and actively trying to be the best that we can be. That's why the first part of our platform focuses on the Senate. There needs to be set sitting times where the public and the press and the senators know that the Senate will convene. And this has to be scheduled ahead of time, of course, with the senators. This is a game after all. But when people are free and they commit to a time, there's an expectation that they show up at that time. That also helps us improve transparency. That also helps us improve public engagement. because people will have enough advance notice to be able to attend the Senate and speak on issues should the Senate give leave for them to do so. I am confident that the Senate will grow into a body that actually works for the people. I'm confident that the Senate will be full of people who want to help the state succeed. It's my job to facilitate the senators to meet. It's my job to facilitate them to put their ideas forward. And I'm confident, extremely confident, that we will be able to do so.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you. I wanted to get into the next session or section of the conference, and that being outlining some of the misjudgments of the previous administration. I want to start with a situation that happened at the beginning of this most recent term, and that was the mass reform of the military police department, the military police division. It was quite controversial, and I consider Mr. Brandon Love and Mr. Matrix good friends of mine, despite us parting ways on our two separate terms. Running for governor and such. But the mismanagement of how the military police reform was carried out is just an outlining on the character of the current, standing governor and our next candidate, Mr. Matrix. We have seen increasing amounts of nepotism. With the recent appointment, which was illegal, of Mr. Adam Stratton to Attorney General of our state, which didn't last for long, but it's just a testimony to character. It's examples like that, just misjudgments that at a level that the governor has, at the power that the governor has, the influence that the governor has, are things that cannot be afforded. And my administration will continue to create a cease of that happening ever again. All positions that are filled will be filled equally, will be filled competently, and will be selected to further aid in the growth of our great state. I think that's that mostly wraps it up for an outline on our policy and announcement. Sure, we could say fairly, G-Butt. Thank you. We're going to cut to questions now. Thank you all for enduring the boring part. We'll start with a few in-game. We'll carry on to the stage, and then whoever's moderating, Dami, just pick whoever you want. Mr. Roblox rules.
Oh, he got a gun, bro. The hell?
Mr. Roblox rules. What would your question be? Do you plan to change any department heads? That's a great question. Thank you. Well, point 3 of our policy, of our platform, is that we will be heavily investigating the competency, the activity, and the ability for not only all department heads, but all high command to continue carrying out their duties. It is not my idea to completely wipe out every single department head. Previous administrations have stated that they will change things, and they haven't. Current department heads have been sitting for over a year or so, and that's not something that should continue unless these individuals are well fit and able to carry out their duties. I hope that answers your question. Anyone else? In the question for the Lieutenant Governor from Officer Mason. Sure. He'd like to be brought up on stage. Officer Mason, Dami?
Okay, hold on.
His hands up.
He's invited.
Bless.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me? Mr. Lieutenant Governor, can you hear me? We hear you.
We hear
Yes,
you.
sir.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Walter.
So my first question is, you brought up earlier about your frustration with the lack of competency with the current or the past two administrations. You're part of the administration as a lieutenant governor. How come you haven't done anything to see
Oh,
those changes?
the question was for Walter, or the question was for me?
Questions for you, Mr. Lieutenant
Okay.
Governor.
Questions for me. Yes. You can continue.
How can you, with all due respect, how can you stand up there during your campaign speech and talk about the lack of competence by the past two administrations when you yourself are part of the current administration? And
Well,
you claim with the current administration, yet you seem to do nothing about them in your position.
well, I'd like to emphasize your last point there was that I seem to do nothing with my position, and that is that my position is president of the Senate. That is the area in which I have complete creative control over. Right? I'm president of the Senate, and during my time as president of the Senate, I have created a productive atmosphere in which I believe that's true.
I can
There's the other
under,
factor. Just if you let me finish, please. There is another factor that I have been held back. And of course, as lieutenant governor, my job is to support the governor. I'm the aide to the governor. Being governor will allow me more creative ability to fix the issues that I see. As lieutenant governor, I maintained a productive Senate. But as governor, I will fix the issues of the previous administration in a way that I will be able to with creative ability. You can add on to that if that didn't answer your question, but I hope it did.
I understand that, Mr. Lieutenant Governor, and I do commend you for your work in the Senate. However, as the second or the aide to the governor, do you not feel that it is within your purview of your role to offer your advice and offer suggestions when the governor is taking actions that you may disagree with, instead of, all due respect, sitting there and only worrying about the Senate? It seems to me like you're only bringing up these issues to convey a bigger support for your campaign, whereas you seem to sit by and be complacent to the governor's actions.
I think the answer to your question is just simply that I have been held back, and I have provided my input. Of course, you can't see behind the scenes chats. Communications are kept sealed. But I have provided my input, and there are times that my input was not sustained.
Thank you, Mr. Lieutenant Governor. That's all.
I forget how to send people back.
Just there you go.
That works. Do you want a random person from the crowd?
Who's
Sure.
next? Do we have any more? There's
Anyone
one
in the
more
stage or in the crowd?
game.
Anyone in the stage in the crowd?
There's one more here in front of
Thanks
us.
for having me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Mr. Vince, hello, how
I
are
am
you?
taking questions from Mr. Roblox Rules, and then we'll get to you, Mr. Governor. No problem. But Mr. Roblox Rules did ask first.
Perfect.
Could you share your best memory with each other? With who? Me and Matrix, or me and Walter? Or sorry, me and Knott's Feelings. Walter, sure. I'd say one of my fondest memories of Mr. Knott's Feelings was during my time as a senator. He served as parliamentarian, and we worked together on numerous fronts. We introduced this one bill, which was a revitalization of the torts, I believe. Walter, correct me if I'm wrong. We released a bill on tort reform. Was it?
I can't remember, to be real with you.
Well, I think that's what it was, but we worked closely on that, and it was a great time. I got to know him very fondly. And that's why I mean, over the years of knowing him, I've developed confidence in his ability. And that's why I've chosen him as Lieutenant Governor today. We can move on to Mr. Governor Matrix.
How are you, Mr. Lieutenant Governor?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing fine. So, all right. So, I'm not gonna lie. So, I've been listening in, and this is a two-part thing. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying a statement, because there is a question in here. But so I'm just gonna I'm gonna bring up some of the things you said, and then I'm gonna ask the question. So you said that under our administration, you felt as if I was holding you back from doing everything, right? Everything that you wanted to do, because the decision came down to me. All right, cool. You also said you addressed a question about department heads, I believe it was. All right. Um, and then what else? You talked about, let's see. All right. All right. So from what I've heard so far, it's just been a diss on our administration, because like the last person brought up, you are a part of our administration. Okay. So from what I hear, you're only dissing.
Well, I'm
the
not
both
just
of them.
part of your. You see, the thing that you're missing here is that you make all the final decisions, right? And I haven't been given the total creative ability that I would need to fix the mistakes that you've made, right?
And
It's
what
your
mistake
administration.
believe-
Your administration. I'm just your aide, and I actually, as I continue to maintain, I just dropped my pen. As I continue to maintain, I'm just the president of the Senate. And there were times when you were trying to bombard me and gain access to the Senate.
Oh,
For example, you were trying to access
wait,
the
wait,
Senate
wait.
group
What,
chat.
can I ask?
Hold
can
on,
I
let
ask
me
the question
finish, and then
first?
you can continue. You can ask your
Wait, but
question.
I never even.
Well,
I
you
never
just
even
made a
asked my
statement.
question.
You just
That's
made a
what I said. I
statement.
said there's statements and
You
then there's
made
a
a
question.
statement. Okay, go ahead.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. So, like I was saying before, well, like you were saying before, you said that there were many times where you put in your input. So you kind of contradicted yourself. First, you said you're just the head of the Senate, you run the Senate, and then when asked a little further, you've always you said you've put your input in or whatever the case may be, but I basically disregarded it. That's basically what you said, right? Can we agree on that? Can we agree on that?
That is exactly what I said.
All right, perfect. So, can we give specific examples where I have totally disregarded your judgment?
Sure. For example, appointing Adam Stratton as to Attorney General. I'm not exactly sure what your thinking on that was. In fact, it was quite illegal. You couldn't do that. Commander was supposed to take Attorney General as per the law of Ridgeway.
So
That's just an example that comes off the top of my head. But
all
if
right.
we look
And
at
did
a
we ever,
three,
did we ever,
if
did we
we
ever,
look
did we
at
ever
a
discuss that?
3-month term, if
Did we
we
ever
look at a
discuss
3-month term, there are numerous examples of times that this has
So
happened.
that's what I'm
For
saying.
me to
One,
bring up
because,
one to my head,
because what
for
you
me to
just
bring
brought
up
up
one to my head, it would be extremely difficult. And this is not supposed to be a
is
debate.
extremely
This is supposed to
difficult, but
be
for
a conference.
such an abundance of examples.
This is supposed to be a conference. So
But that's
that
what I'm
was your
saying. I still have
question.
a
I
question.
answered your
I
question.
still haven't gotten to my question.
That was your question. I answered your question.
What was the question?
Your question was, can you give me an example of a time where I disagreed with something that you decided upon? I answered
Did
your
you weigh in
question.
on? Did you ever weigh in on that decision? No.
Yes, and let's move on to the
You're,
next
don't
person.
lie. Come
Because
on.
I didn't do this to you. Because I didn't do this to you when you had your conference. And now
Oh,
you
no,
want to come up here and
because
do this.
this entire press conference, like I said,
So,
you've been bashing me. You see, my entire press conference never once
it's
bashed
not. Move on to the
I
next
actually
question.
gave
Please.
you
This is
flowers
supposed
for
to be.
everything that you've done
I
within
gave
my
you flowers to
administration.
start to.
I gave you flowers from the start to the end. Never
This is
in
not a
once,
debate.
never once, whenever
This is
once
not
did
a
I talk
debate.
down on you. Never
This
once
is
did I talk
supposed to be a
down on you
conference.
or anything that you've ever done.
You're being
Okay?
quite selfish, not allowing other people to answer questions. Ask their
Answer,
questions.
answer questions. Aren't you supposed to be the one
Ask their
answering questions?
questions. I'm answering the questions.
You're
They're
talking about
asking
getting
them.
rid of department heads like Matt Stern. You've been wanting to do that for months.
When did I
Like,
say that I plan
don't
on
lie.
getting
Don't
rid
lie
of
about it either. Now we on live. You know,
Matrix,
you've been
I'm going
talking
to
about
ask
getting
you
rid
to
of.
get off the
Can
stage.
we
There are
please
plenty of other
move him
people
from
who
the
want to
stage
answer
so we can
questions.
answer some more questions instead of sabotaging my conference, please?
You know, all right, I'll let you go.
Yeah.
I
See,
think
y'all didn't
I
allow
think
me to do
it's
that.
important. I think it's important to note that the anger that we are looking at right now is not what's best for the state. We stand here today unable fundamentally to compete with other state groups. We are not competing with Clark County right now. Fuck, we're barely competing with stupid USA groups. The status quo has cooked us. And if we sit here and continue to go down the road of what has been already done, We know that this is how it is. And if we continue down this road, we lose our opportunity to become competitive once again. We lose our opportunity to attract talent to this group, legal talent, talent in leadership and in policing. And if we miss this opportunity, if we don't take a step in the right direction to move the group forward right now, the ship sails. We will not have another opportunity.
Agreed. Thank you, Mr. Lieutenant Governor, candidate. I want to address the claim to Matrix that he said that I didn't give him flowers. Listen, my campaign is not supposed to be hostile. I'm not coming on here with a hostile platform. I'm running for governor with the ideas of bringing order, with the idea of bringing peace to Ridgeway, of uniting both sides, right? In the past, we have seen, like, it's either you hate the current administration or you love the current administration. There's no in between. I want order. I want justice. I want I want us to unite. But Matrix thinks that I haven't given him his flowers, and I have to give him his flowers, just like he did the same thing to me. So I applaud him for his work in the war. I applaud him for his work, appointing a great general like Brandon Love, who, if he continues to remain active, and I think RNG will thrive. But yeah, this is not supposed to be an attack campaign. This was not supposed to be a debate. I wish moderation took some better action on not allowing that to happen.
Not my issue.
Yeah, not your issue. It's
Patrick.
supposed to be one question per person. We move on to the next. So
There are some other people with their hands raised. Let's
Yeah.
let's move on to them. Let's see what we can do here.
let us.
Or wait, we promised to go to Roblox rules. We
Sure,
must
he
not
already
forget
asked
our
him, but
boy
I
Roblox
saw a couple-
rules.
Alex Neptunes has his hand raised. After Roblox rule, go ahead. Did he type the
Mr.
question?
Mr. Neptunes?
Do
Hello?
you support a candidate for Secretary of State? Will you also focus on working with them to bring new business into Ridgeway? Thank you for that question. As for supporting a specific candidate for Secretary of State, I'd have to say it's incredibly early. We are still in the registration period. The individuals who are running, who will be on the ballot, are not even selected yet. I think as for the current Secretary of State, Alex Neptunes, with the issues that we had with the inactivity, although I have voiced my, at times, disapproval, as I am an advocate for activity, I can understand some of the falling short that has happened, but I am hopeful for the Department of State, which I think is one of the most vital departments in our state, that they can really help the private sector achieve greatness. I mean, like we saw, my lieutenant governor candidate ran multiple successful businesses as an attorney. So to answer your, I guess it's sort of a two-part question. Do I support a Secretary of State candidate? Currently, at this time, I need to assess the options. We don't even know who's on the ballot yet. And number two, what will I do to help the private sector? I will work with the Department of State directly and the Senate through my lieutenant governor to introduce friendly legislation that will improve the experience of owning business in the state of Ridgeway.
God
We can move
bless.
to the next question.
Mr. Neptunes.
Hello there, folks. Great to be on here. Just a quick question for Mr. Lieutenant Governor. You messaged me. You said, "Are you running?" And I responded back to you. You never got back to me. So what's up?
Okay, not really much of an interesting question. I need you to understand that when I announced my candidacy for governor, I got spammed. And your message probably got thrown into the dark. Not really interested in discussing personal DMs like this,
Okay.
but I don't think what you really said to me was that personal.
No, I'm just saying,
Uh,
just if you can look at my message, but I do have
yeah,
a
that you
genuine
mean you could
question.
have just like maybe DM me again, but if you haven't,
This is
if you had,
crazy.
I do
if
have
you
a
haven't
genuine question.
sure,
I
go
do have a
ahead.
genuine
What's your
question.
genuine question?
Now, you see, what, in my opinion, I feel this election is about is I think we need somebody, new, somebody who's, passionate, somebody that cares. And I'm not saying Matrix isn't that, or I'm not saying you aren't that. But but I'm wondering, so you have served as, I don't know, you've served 3 or 4 terms as senator. Which one is it, 3 or 4?
I believe it was round 3.
Okay, 3. You served 3 terms as senator, and you served 2 terms as lieutenant governor. Okay.
I served
And
1 term as lieutenant governor.
1 term. Sorry, my bad. Oopsies.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay, 1 term as lieutenant governor. Okay. During all your terms in office, I would say, I would have liked to see more from you, but I think
Careful
you
now.
have.
Careful now.
I would have. Yeah. Let's not. I'll get hostile. I'll get hostile.
Well, I'm not. No, I'm not. Bro, oh my god. Oh my god. This. Okay.
Continue. We're joking.
What I'm trying to say is, what will you? Okay, because this is something if I ever get back into Lego politics, this is something I want to work on, maybe passing. Will you, Vince Vance, if elected, will you commit to only running 2 terms to ensure that new people always stay in office? Because in my opinion, not even in my opinion, like, this is just a fact, like, people like stay in their positions too long, like, especially department heads, senators. I'm not mentioning like anybody specifically, I'm just saying in general, like, everyone stays in office for too long. And even today, I announced my decision to not run again because I felt like I would become like those individuals that just hold position and just do nothing. And I'm wondering, will you commit to only running 2 terms, and will you commit to passing an amendment to our constitution to allow term limits for department heads, senators, the governor, secretary of state, attorney general, sheriff, blah, blah, blah. So will you commit to that?
I think I can speak to my choices, and that would be that yes, I would commit to only running for whether it be 2 terms or, depending on what the public want, only 1 term. Hopefully 2 terms. But for me to speak on if I want to enforce term limits on every single department head, every single senator, every single the county sheriff, the secretary of state, it comes down to what my constituents want. And if I am seeing that the masses are fed up with, you could say, rank sitting, then that is something that can most definitely be established. The difference between me and my competition, many individuals expected Large Titanic to run, and no shade to him, of course, but he was previously held governor, I believe, 3 times. Matrix has been county executive 1 time and governor twice. You're asking for a fresh voice. I'm providing that fresh voice, and yeah.
So I know, I'm wondering, but
No, I answered the question on yes, I am committed to only running for 2 terms, and
and
if
same as your lieutenant governor. That was also kind of a question for him. Okay.
couldn't ask him that. I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm only running for 2 terms, then how is he going to run for another term? Like, just doesn't make
No,
sense.
no, I meant like he's lieutenant governor. I'm saying him as governor, like if he wants to. Since it's usually lieutenant
okay.
governor.
Yeah,
I
sure. Go
have.
ahead.
I mean, I have no interest in running for governor.
Mhm.
Of course, should Vince step down, I'm perfectly competent and perfectly willing to finish out the term. But I have
Ooh.
no personal aspirations to uh, run for governor on my own. It's not something I'm interested in.
Okay. Right. But real
Hopefully that
question now:
answers
when
your
are you,
question.
Vince?
Okay,
When are
one
you and
question
Matrix?
per person, buddy.
Right. When are you and Matrix going to get into a boxing ring?
When are you going to resign from Secretary of State? Get this guy off stage.
Deserved. Can we get I'm not Rummy?
Let's
Been
bring
begging
up.
me.
I've been getting spammed. Let's just quickly bring up Talks Easy Peasy, please, and then we'll bring up that guy that Walter said.
Okay.
We'll answer questions for as long as you guys have them. Talk
Yo,
Huh?
yo.
Hello.
Okay. This isn't a question, but this is just me, spreading my advocacy for Vince, and I'd like to bring up a couple things. Because Vince, he was being real nice about it, but I'd like to get down into the dirt with it. Anyways, we're gonna go over the RNG situation with MPI. No. Hold on a second. I want to bring up something because I was on the inside. Hello. He kind of screwed him over. He screwed him over. He had a trial.
Okay, mods. There will be time for that, Mr. Toxie. Thank you for expressing your confidence in me. Who's next, Walter? You said there was someone.
Mr. I'm not Rummy or something. There he is.
Walter, how's it going tonight?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm good, brother. I got 3 questions for you, specifically, not the other guy. I'll be honest.
Oh yeah,
So,
Vince, move
first
over.
one
It's my turn.
yeah. Big Cheney type beat, right? Anyways, legislation aside, besides what gets done in the Senate, how do you think your administration could make the community more competitive for people like me, for other members of the legal community, and just other general serious role players to come and enter to the community and dedicate their time, since as we know a lot of the aspects we bring in are hours and hours of work, and usually people don't dedicate time towards something they see in decline.
Sure. The main bottleneck right now for the legal system is the courts. There are too many cases and not enough judges. And like we promised, as part of our platform, we're going to appoint more competent judges. That resolves most of our issues to begin with. I'm also more than happy to work with any of our partners in the judicial branch if they want to talk about the bar association, or if they want to talk about, bringing attorneys in. What can we do to incentivize attorneys to join, right? Because the legal system is only fun when you have people to go against, right? If you just walk in and you clean every case, that's not really fun, is it? The fun comes from the challenge of going back and forth with someone, right? These are all things that I'm committed to working on. But the judges thing is something that I, with Vince Van, can do, right? Anything else takes coordination with senators. Anything else takes coordination with the judicial branch, which that's not promised to me. I'm happy to try, but I can't control how people vote.
Second question out of the 3. Sorry. Yum.
Damn,
Sorry about that. Second question out of the 3. So we're hearing a lot about change here. Do you think this will be more of a heavy cooperation where your campaign, if you guys win, a lot of it is risked on getting those other parties to cooperate? Let's put the courts aside for the other aspects, things outside the judicial system.
Yep.
Or do you guys think you'll be pushing that executive theory, whatever it may be, within Roe State? I don't know. But basically pushing executive powers to its limits so you guys can get as much change done.
I hear you. We aren't dictators. Government is a collaborative mission. And part of that is finding ways to work with people, agree with people, and if you have to, compromise with people, right? I don't have time to be sitting here holding grudges. I don't have time for this. right? What I do have time for is to have honest conversations with honest people who everyone at the table wants the best for the state, right? Obviously, our executive plans, revitalizing the executive agencies, very easy for us to do on our own. But fixing laws, appointing judges, those things take collaboration. And that's what we're committed to, is collaborating with our governing partners in the Senate, in the judiciary as necessary, and working, to push it forward. We need progress. And I can't do progress alone.
And final question, thanks for that. Final question. What would you say makes your campaign and your policies different to Matrix's? What's the biggest differentiator between what you
I'd
guys
say
are hoping
the
to
biggest
achieve?
differentiator is that we're not reusing policy.
Yeah. Let's be honest. The Matrix campaign, as far as I can tell, is reusing policy from the last time they ran. So where first of all, what do you didn't do that shit already? What the hell? That's first. But second of all, we are new. Right? We're not new to this community. We're not new to government, but we are new to governor and lieutenant governor. And our fresh perspective informs everything we do. Right? I said it more frustrated before, right? But I meant it. If we stick with the status quo, we lose our competitive edge. We lose the opportunity to rise up again and be competitive with states like Mayflower, with Clark County. We lose our ability to be competitive in international space if we decide to go that route. We lose so much by not starting fresh. We lose so much by staying with the status quo. And that's what we're offering you guys.
All right, thank you. Look forward to seeing the base, boys. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Who else we got on the stage?
I think Vermix has been wanting to ask a question. Also, Officer Mason. A lot of people. We'll get Vermix though.
Yeah, it was good.
How are you?
Hear me okay? Good.
Yeah.
All right, listen. In light of the increasing scrutiny surrounding political campaigns, financing, and potential quid pro quo arrangements, how do you plan to ensure that contributions from PACs or super PACs do not compromise your duty as a public official under doctrine of fluidity duty to act in the best interests of your constituents?
We don't get PAC money.
There are no PACs in Ridgeway.
Wait, so you're gonna make one?
No.
Okay, second question. What do you think about the criminal reform movement? Like, what's your stand on the criminal reform movement? Even if they're like former terrorists.
I think that criminals deserve a second chance. This is Roblox.
At the end of the day, listen. At the end of the day, if you are here to put in the work, if you are staying clean, doing what you need to do, finding ways to volunteer in your community, right? This is everyone's community here. If you find ways to do that, you should have a second chance. And if you blow it the second time, I don't know. That's on you. But
so if they take their second chance, mess it up, but come back, really sorry, they don't get a third one.
Most of the time that's up to the courts. That's up to the expungement.
I'm talking about like pardons. Like if someone is truly genuine by
evaluated on a case by case basis. I can't. After the shutdown, we're looking at everything with fresh eyes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's it.
Right, but we can't. I'm not going to promise here that I will or will not ask Vince to pardon somebody. Right, that's not. We're not in a place to do that.
Okay.
Sorry to co-opt the answer there.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Very inquisitive question. Let's get someone from the audience in Eternally American. And there's also someone else. Shadow Freddy, we can get to you in just a minute after. Okay, Eternal American. We'll go with G-Butt. Eternally American, when you're ready, let us know. Mr. G-Butt.
Okay, my question is, currently there's no law that requires any standard for LOBs or like the citations of arrests. Do you think that there should be bare minimum requirements for them, or do you think they're fine where they're at?
I just
If you, I
want
can
to
actually,
get
I
more
can speak to that
clarification.
if you
I just,
want.
you just let me get more clarification on that. If you
Mhm.
could like expand more, please.
Well, there's no law that so let's say that an officer writes literally nothing in the citation for the arrest. That could violate their policy of their department, but you couldn't go to a court and then say, "Hey, he wrote nothing in the arrest citation. Dismiss this charge." They'll then still offer the government an opportunity to get an affidavit and then file that. Do you think that if a arrest citation is so poorly written that you cannot make out any elements of a crime, that it should just automatically lead to an expungement, or do you think that it's good the way it is?
Yeah, I can answer this if that's okay.
Sure, go ahead. I
From
just
the
wanted
from the
to.
legal's perspective,
Yeah, go ahead.
the thing is that I think we have grossly mischaracterized, I suppose, how that system works. Because in fact, if you choose the wrong charge, the arrest record, the citation cannot stand. That's been long held in habeas corpus proceedings, and that similarly applies to the details. If you mess up a key part of the details, the charge doesn't stand. There's no probable cause for the charge, right? I don't think that legislating that is a bad idea, but the people are already protected from that sort of thing. We just need attorneys who are willing to challenge it.
Okay. And then I guess my follow-up question is like, okay, I'm about to insult someone, but it's not an insult, but the Clark has won in terms of like Clark has better civilian opportunities just built into the game. Is
Mhm.
there have you guys come up with any ideas to like create opportunities for civs to have fun? And like you note in your policy like you would host events and stuff. Have you guys came up with anything that's like any events that would actually bring
Yeah, I'll definitely take this one. Again, look, it's difficult because the executive office really has no control over anything developer related, which I mean for a good reason too, because it's the developer oversight's game. But I remember previous governors, even back in Mayflower, would host fun events like, there were Easter events where you could go Easter egg hunting and the governor would be like an Easter egg or something, like stupid stuff like that. But more fun, more engaging events need to be hosted. I think it's a good idea to get both civilians and all of the departments involved together, rather than separating events between the two. Of course, supporting the private sector would increase civilian opportunities. But other than that, with more expansions to the game, developer oversight, whatever is created, be able to support that through legislation, depending on what the new edition is. But Walter, kind of add anything to that?
Nah, that sums it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll follow that up with one more thing. One of Matrix's campaign promises, I'm pretty sure, was weekly press conferences or bi-weekly press conferences. Will you host more press conferences? And I guess I'll follow that up too. When you veto and like vote for or sign, and sign laws, do you think you'll hold press conferences or explain your logic through those, like in-game things, or do you think you'll do it the way Matrix did, where he wrote a letter to the Senate? Well, you have to do that, but like, do you think you'll follow that up with more press conferences, or do you think you'll still do it where you're kind of out of game and just saying you vetoed stuff?
I think it's important that every veto, be made with accountability, with the proper advice from a legal team that is experienced, and with transparency. If you want me to say that I'm going to host a press conference every single time I veto a bill, I think that would be counterintuitive. But I will work closely with the Senate, as I have been already, to produce constructive bills and shun the ones that are not out of our state laws. Well, I have no idea where he went, but he left
No,
the
either.
stage. So yeah.
All right.
Whatever.
Should we go to
Yeah.
Eternally American? Does he have a question? A text question? Go ahead, sir.
Voices in my head. Dominic AU says. Damn, that was long as hell. You want to restate that so I can read the rest of it? Yeah. So the question was, how will my administration work with other communities and increase productive foreign affairs? I think we need to look at communities that are successful and host certain events with them and increase diplomacy with them. We could do joint events with Clark. In the past, I have been an advocate for war on some states. I did contribute greatly to the NUSA war, in which we won. But at the end of that war, NUSA relations were strengthened. And myself and other members were given positions in NUSA to maintain, I guess you could say, good connection with the state. I'm interested in reaching out to individuals in Clark. I'm very close with, hopefully, I believe he's still standing, Governor Orange Bear. If he isn't, then correct me if I'm wrong. If Orange Bear is still the state governor. I'm very good friends with him. We could, alongside the Secretary of State, host certain events that join the two of our states together, train our National Guards together. That's just what comes off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, Orange Bear is still the governor and actually endorsed us earlier today, which was a welcome surprise.
Yeah, I think that will be the last question that we'll take. Everybody wants to go gamble. Hopefully that sums up everything. Thank you guys for coming, and sorry if it was a bit of a mess. One simple
If y'all
question.
have,
Okay. Go ahead. Yes or no? Roblox rules. Yes or no? Last question. Yes, I am. Thank you.
if you have more questions, come see me or Vince out front, just outside the room, or shoot us a DM, and we will be more than happy to talk to you if we didn't get to you.
Yeah, happy gambling, guys.
Okay. God bless.